I think there's probably more flexibility in the content itself as well, right? Because there's so many. I think we used to have like content windows, right? And so like a brand would get involved in the theatrical release, and there'd be a home video release, and then television debut. We don't really have that anymore, and if we do, no one knows when or where anything is anyway.
Yeah, right.
So but now it's like there's like what you might call like hero content you might see on a linear or ad-supported streamer. But then there's also all the social media content derivatives that come from that, or original like content that comes from that. And all of those represent a different set of decisions, but also a different weight of brand involvement. I think like that's, again, like to me, like that is also like a beautiful evolution of entertainment as well, allowing for multiple like ways of funding while still keeping the audience at the center, which means like, again, if they're not entertained, there's no one to entertain.
There's no point. Yes. Yeah, I fully agree with that as well.
Yeah. Sorry, no, I didn't mean to.
Man off stage yells, "Eric, ask Ian a question."
Ian.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. What's up?
So with Ensemble, which is something you've launched, 2 years ago?
About a year and a half ago.
A year and a half ago. We've chatted a lot about the role that Ensemble plays within the larger Hooray media ecosystem. To that last point, how do you see those two areas coming together? You have Issa Rae, which is, she's a force unto herself with the shows and films and things that she has in development. Ensemble sits alongside that. If a brand comes in and says, well, I love what Issa's doing, where does Ensemble pick up and where does Hooray sort of pick up in that kind of conversation?
Yeah, so I think Hooray is built around the gravitas of Issa. And by that, I mean like the literal gravitational pull and her ability to activate communities around her content. I mean, she, the community that she centers around all of her content, follows her wherever she goes, does, where she does. And that in turn makes her an incredibly powerful brand to be collaborated with. So, brand wants to collaborate with Issa or a piece of content executive produced or developed by Issa, that and which will probably be seen on film or television, but sometimes digital as well. That will definitely be like on the Hooray side of business. Our job at Ensemble is, in some ways, to find the next Issa. Like, who is the next talent that is going to emerge like Issa did, which is part of the authenticity of all of this. I mean, Issa started on YouTube. Made Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl. So a few things happened, but that led to Insecure on HBO, and the rest is history, right? And so that's not necessarily the path for every creator. I mean, a creator could create a line of products that wind up becoming huge and making them a star in a different way. But if we are working with creators and identifying, them as talent, and identifying, part of identifying them as talent is like, do brands really want to work with them? And are we being successful in making that happen? Then yeah, I would love to be able to elevate that creator talent into becoming the next Issa and maybe building the next Hooray around them as well. But I think, again, if we look at, like, just like you guys did, like when you're looking at, what happened during the writer's strike, what happened to production because of COVID, I mean, I'm no fan of economic downturns at all. But within those economic downturns represent opportunities to innovate, right? Innovate and do things more efficiently. Like, lead you to question, why do we need the fat here? Why do we need to do all of this there? Like, couldn't this be done in a more efficient way? And then you layer on like technological evolution onto that. Maybe there's different ways. So this is like, I feel like, in some ways we're like a little bit of like the multiverse, like a different version of what that is in a world where film and TV in its previous form doesn't exist. So like, let's forget about everything that we knew and try a bunch of other things, knowing what we know today. And so that's the mentality that we have like in building Ensemble. But the great part of it all is like Issa's attached to both. And she's helping us like curate that talent because she's one of the best in the world at it.
Yeah.
So we're going to wrap up here in a moment. Thank you so much for joining us at Between Two Garbage Cans.
Yes.
It is the name of our series.
Love it.
Only series. Thank you for all the insights. Thanks for hosting us. Can't wait to see you guys tonight on the panel.
Yeah.
Have a spirited conversation, and thanks for paying attention out there.